All right, review number 2 of the night. Kingzone versus Damwon Gaming, game number 3. We live in the light, we review in the light. The lights are on in my background, so it's a little bit less dark here in Korea, 8 p.m. Korean Standard Time, for game 3 of a really, really interesting series. So, before we get started, I want to talk about Damwon Gaming, the team best known for dominating scrims alongside Griffin during Worlds 2018. Obviously, they had only just been promoted to the LCK, but there was a big Reddit thread about how a team that just got promoted to the LCK was, in fact, one of the best teams in the world. And they were winning scrims as close to finals against Fnatic. Damwon Gaming are a very honest new team, kind of like Sandbox is to some degree, in that they are a team full of mechanical talent, but when Flame, who you'll notice only played one single game in summer, is not in the roster, they make very poor macro decisions pretty often. Like, they're actually not smart around the map, but they're super powered in terms of their lanes. Like, their lanes are their big carries here, and they deprioritize their AD carry in order to succeed. So if you're a new viewer, let's say you're an LEC viewer, and you're like, who do I pick? Like, which team is the best comparison to Damwon Gaming? Like, talk to me in LEC language. Damwon Gaming are basically akin to G2 2018. G2 come Worlds last year is kind of the best example of Damwon Gaming, in that the bot lane is kind of left on an island. You never really think you're going to get a hard carry performance out of them, but they're also kind of capable, like wily veterans. But the play is all about the solo lanes. The solo lanes are heavily prioritized. And Vitality is another good example, if we're going to be a modern example, but obviously Vitality this year fallen away a lot. But highly prioritized around the solo lanes, super defensive around, as you can tell, Ezreal, Tahm Kench, right? Like, they want to play this wherever possible. Super prioritized around these lanes. And then Canyon's kind of a coin flip jungler that largely plays around his solo lanes and tries to avoid bot lane. The difference is that Nuguri and Showmaker's ceilings are really, really high. And the whole team, regardless of kind of the struggles 2v2 for Nuclear Barrel or Nuclear Hoyt when he plays, are very mechanically talented as a whole. I feel like Kjarnan's much more limited as a player as Nuclear is. Not that Nuclear is a superstar by any means, but I think he's a super clean player and has a much wider champion pool. But you have Nuguri and Showmaker, and I would love to see Nuguri against Wonder and Nuguri against some of the best top lanes around the world. This guy is the best laning top we have. He's better than Keen in lane, which I think says a lot. Keen is by far a better all-round player, much better team fighter. He's not that much worse in lane than Nuguri, but much better in team fight, much better teleport, much more well-rounded player. But if Nuguri can play for Nuguri, he is unbelievable in lane. And Showmaker is the most interesting one. I want to show you guys his 2019 stats, because you go back to spring season, and Showmaker was pretty limited as a player. Like, we didn't see a lot of Showmaker out of spring. Like, towards the end of the season, he was playing LeBlanc and looked good on that. But for a lot of the season, his Lissandra, nothing special. Zoe, nothing special. A lot of Galio, again, nothing special. Like, he was mostly having to conform to the meta, so he was playing stuff like Swain, stuff like Lissandra, stuff like Galio, and he's not a great initiating mid laner. He wouldn't choose the right initiation times. He would be caught out in a side lane when his team needed him to come back and collapse into a team fight. Like, he wasn't good with that sort of stuff. But coming into summer season, we've seen him flex, and he's been really impressive. Like, his win rate on Akali isn't outstanding, but we're going to have a great game to show you. And just his ability to play kind of the more meta champions recently, the more active champions. Like, this guy's mechanics are super high tier. We've talked about it before. Showmaker was a one-trick Katarina player for the longest time. So his team fighting on aggressive picks from ahead is awesome to watch. Really, really impressive to watch. KDA here, influenced a lot by the game we're about to review, but his role on the Akali is impressive. He's one of our biggest Corki players, kind of replaced Pawn, who was the resident Corki player that we had before. But Showmaker's coming into his own after kind of being a team fighting role player in spring. And that means it's not just Showmaker has a good laning phase for his champion, then kind of can't really spread his lead. Him and Nuguri are win conditions in and of themselves, which is really cool to track. I wonder how Nuguri's stats are looking. In a team that's gone 9-7, so not that far away from a 50% win rate. Head in CS 75% of the time. CSD of 8, which is big. Goal difference of 400 with 7 losses. XP difference is there. He gets ganked a lot. Really good at playing for his lane. Outstanding player is Nuguri. How is Showmaker's stats looking in summer? He's finally gotten them positive. He had from memory, he had a pretty negative spring season. So if you notice, he was pretty even in lane and just kind of not doing that much. Bit of a passenger in laning phase. While I went too far back. In summer season, the CSD hasn't changed, but laning phase in general has amped up a bit, and I think that's a product of the meta moving towards him a bit. So, been a pleasure to watch Damwon Gaming grow. So, we'll go over pick ban for the previous games before we get to game number 3. Zoom in a bit more so you guys can see it even clearer. Oh, no, that's not how you zoom. So, we are week number 3, reviewing Kingzone versus Damwon game 1. So game number 1, if you notice the bans here from Kingzone, Aurelia and Vlad ban are largely being sent at Nuguri, but actually the Vlad from Showmaker in the team fights looked really good last time out, so it's like a flex ban for them now. Damwon Gaming just banned Tier List, Sejuani, Karma, Yumi. We actually saw that in our first series on Red Side. Maybe that's the new Red Side trio. Kingzone first pick Gragas. Cuz is a super good Gragas player, so Kingzone have always been a team to play a lot of Gragas Yasuo. Damwon Gaming, Tahm Kench Jace. Now, Tahm Kench here is super scary in the LCK because if you notice, Sona's not banned, and it means they're going to play Sona next round. So you have to try to find stuff with priority. Lux is the support champion they take, and they put faith that Deft can play whatever AD carry. And then from there, it is the Azir pick. Azir, 75% win rate recently, and gives them some team fighting options. The Sona confirmed, so it's Tahm Kench Sona. A duo lane that doesn't deprioritize bot lane, but obviously has a defensive style that scales so hard that it's worth it, which does suit, again, Nuclear and Beryl's approach. After the ban, second round Rek'Sai to try to find a aggressive jungler. Now the flex comes out and it ends up being Aatrox jungle, which is another Cuz favorite, Gragas top lane against Jace, and Corki mid lane against Azir. So farm lane for Corki. Ashe Lux, which didn't strike you as a immediate answer to Sona and Tahm Kench, but it's about outranging. But the Gragas top is the choice. And Rascal's Gragas top was, oh boy, Rascal's Gragas top was actually just pretty damn awful in this game. So Gragas top against Jace is actually a pretty good matchup for Gragas. We saw Rascal's previous top lane sub, he used to be the top lane sub for Khan. Khan played a lot of Gragas top against Jace, where because Jace is always in auto attack range at 500 range under a turret for a turret plate, that always puts you in Gragas body slam range, which means your jungler comes and then wham bam, thank you ma'am, get a kill. That's the theory there between Gragas Jace. But going AP is pretty troll. You kind of understand it in that you go ability power build, do your best Shushei impression, and then blow up the Sona teamfight comp really early, kind of level 8-minute to 15-minute team fights. Gragas ult goes, there's no Seraphs done, maybe you can get kills there, but then you have no scaling chance whatsoever in team fights. And what happened in this game was that Gragas went for flank teleports as if he was tank Gragas or jungle Gragas coming out of no vision, and they just turned on him and killed him. So they actually just kind of botched the execution, which was sad because Deft and Tucson, with executioners calling Rush Ashe and Lux, poked so much, got so many turret plates, and really put Sona Tahm Kench behind. But TP plays out of the Gragas just kind of botched the game. So that was the game 1 victory for Damwon Gaming. In game number 2, we'll talk about the draft first. Catching up to game number 3. Game number 2, Damwon ban out, safe pick for Nayeon. Nayeon, when he's played mid lane, when he's not playing something like Jace, will default to Nico wherever possible. So ban that away. It's a Yuumi blue side ban. Kaz Karthus jungle player. Meanwhile, Kingzone's bans. Power level ban, power level ban. The only targeted ban is Tahm Kench because they don't want to deal with Sona. So Kingzone don't get to target any of Damwon's priorities, and that means someone like Nuguri is going to get access to a first-round champ. And he first picks Aurelia, which is actually a really big pick for him. Understandably, right? The champion's strong in the meta right now. Gragas Xayah taken, gets them Zyra Khan. Ezreal Lux is fine, but Zyra Khan, I think, does really well if they get any sort of early priority. And then Kingzone pull out the kind of smart choice here is they don't want to deal with the Aurelia flex. They take Vladimir in the second round and go Vladimir Jace for almost impossible to find winning lane choices against. And Showmaker takes the Akali, which we're going to talk about a lot in the next game. And then Lee Sin Jungle, which is a fallback for Canyon. And this was a super interesting game where, if you'll notice, at one point, 24 minutes in, Damwon Gaming is 7,444 gold ahead. Nuguri smashed to the lane here and got epic fed on Aurelia. It was like 4-0 or 4-1, maybe 4-1 actually. Damwon Gaming smashed them in the early game and got a huge lead and then made a lot of mistakes around Baron and Drake and took unnecessary fights and ended up with 7-death Aurelia, which tells you the game turned a lot. So to lose a 7,000 gold lead at 24 minutes, like, teams win games with 7,000 gold lead at 24 minutes sometimes at the moment. So this is a really big turnaround here. It's a huge throw from Damwon where, honestly, this would have been a 2-0 way more often than not. They got super far ahead against Kingzone and then just had a bit too much fun, frontlined with Aurelia. She died alone on a bad teleport. Like, Damwon Gaming, very Damwon style loss where their mechanics get them an epic gold lead, mostly on their top laner, and then they just conspired to find a way to lose. So coming into game number 3, which is where this VOD is paused. And we actually have pick ban here, so we can show it. There's lots of questions to ask Damwon Gaming here. They've just absolutely thrown a game with a massive lead, and they're a tilty team full of young players who don't have the ability to kind of resolve their emotions. They've definitely had a lot of series where they've been reverse swept in the past. They won game number 1 with Sona Tahm Kench. They're very unlikely to get back to that. And so the coaching staff is... They brought in Coach Kim Jung-soo from Invictus Gaming. His main goal for 2019 would have been to find a way to make his team smarter. And that's both in terms of emotional resilience, ability to kind of power through a loss and still perform in a third game or potentially a second game, depending on if they lost game number 1 or 2. But also to work on their macro strategy as a more kind of wide thing. So they have 2 very obvious goals to grow as a team that they had to work on. But the manner of the loss, like 24 minutes being 7k gold ahead in the LCK with like the world's biggest Aurelia top, the enemy Vlad by comparison, like Rascal was ultra far behind. And then he gets gifted a lifeline with some free kills from mistakes from Damwon into a turnaround team fight. Like, that was a very unlikely way to lose and also a guaranteed tilter. So you kind of come into this game expecting that Damwon are going to find it very difficult to get back in the series. So we jump into game number 3. Sona ban this time from Kingzone. Power level bans, Sejuani Karma on the red side. Jace ban this time from Kingzone. They don't want Nuguri to be on that. And you're just happy to get as many Nuguri bans as possible. Teams were banning 3 champions against him at times in spring season because he was so obviously their win condition when Flame wasn't playing. Yuumi bans, so boring bans from Damwon. First picking the Gragas. It's something they're going to show. They lock it in. And again, threatens the Gragas Yasuo. It's third game in a row of Gragas. They're very unlikely to play top lane Gragas again. With the Jace ban, you basically know it's not going to be top lane Gragas because the only recognized matchup for top lane Gragas is into the Jace. So very unlikely to create that. Damwon Gaming going to take the Tahm Kench anyway, even though the removal of the Sona is there. And they lock in Canyon's Karthus. So this is cool. 2 Karthus players in this game. We just had a very poor Karthus game from Peanut in either the first series or the day before. Now, if you're wondering why high Tahm Kench priority, it says a lot more about the duo lane from Damwon rather than a power level pick. This is not going to be a top lane Tahm Kench. Nuggery's not that kind of player. We did see it from Cuvée on Genji, though, which was interesting to see. Picking Tahm Kench for bot lane is very much my jungler is either unable to or will not be going bot lane pick. I want to play around top 2 lanes because they're the ones that carry us. This is very much a give Nuclear and Barrels something that doesn't die choice, which is, you know, not the thing that hypes you up, but a good choice because at least Damwon understand how they win games. They don't win games when Nuclear gets ahead. Any games we've had where Nuclear got 4 to 6 kills in the early game, they've just been unable to translate that into teamfight wins just because they aren't used to the macro required to win with teamfight comps. So Kingzone get their choice of lane pressure here, and Lux obviously is the highest presence support. Lux against Tahm Kench basically guarantees you 2 turret plates, kind of like Jace against a tank. So you like that one here. Lux Sivir, very commonly seen in the LCK as a duo, given that the Lux gives the Sivir the lane presence that Sivir herself doesn't have. But they're going to take the Nico first round while it's left available. Champion the LS has been very outspoken in how strong he believes it is in the top lane relative to Kennen. I actually think those champions are more different than people give credit for. I think Kennen's an aggressive flank champion, and Nico is stronger laner than Kennen for sure. Wins the 1v1 as well. Can team fight better than Kennen, but much more unreliable team fighter and much worse initiator than Nico is. Nico's so much more set up and so much more conditional on the enemy making mistakes around vision. And Damwon Gaming, to their credit, they take the strongest possible 2v2 bot lane with the Tahm Kench and the Varus. So they're just looking for some lane presence here. They don't take Ashe like Cloud9 did in the last series, which might have given Karthus a bit more information about pathing, but at least you give them this duo and you assume they're not going to lose hard or get dominated. Ezreal, Sivir are the usual lane partners for the Lux in bot lane. We'll see if those are the bans here. Kingzone happy they can dump another ban into Nuggery. This time it's the Fiora. Oh, it ends up being the Xayah ban. So it's not so much a Xayah Rakan respect, it's a deft respect on Xayah and the fact that Damwon have a lot of pick CC. They're basically offering them Sivir, which I think in some ways is surprising, in some ways it's not. Showmaker has shown a lot, like he played really well on Corki in the first game of this series, and it's can farm against the Nico just fine. So Damwon Gaming kind of just looking for them to pick flexible solo laners here to guarantee a lane lead somewhere. So Showmaker and Nuggery are both Akali players, so you definitely wanted to flex Assassin in that spot because you want to find lanes to play around. And you already have extra reach from the Karthus to try to guarantee kills. So that part makes sense. Just waiting for AD carry. And top lane, the Sivir was the very obvious choice. We really wanted to see new Rise, but sadly we're denied here. And this ends up being Aatrox. So Kingzone go full team fight. And Damwon Gaming, to their credit, go for a draft that answers team fight well. So we kind of get the same genesis of comps between the two games, the Cloud9 100 Thieves series and also the Damwon Gaming versus Kingzone series, because here we see Damwon jump onto 1-3-1 largely around Camille split push pressure against a full team fight comp. But the wrinkles added here that Damwon Gaming's 1-3-1 comp is actually a lot harder to execute than the comp Cloud9 had. Reason for that is the Aatrox lanes really well against um, Camille in the early game. Before a couple of items, Aatrox actually wins trades, which makes things a lot harder in this case. Now, Damwon Gaming do have a bit stronger of an 80 carry in the early game, but I think Ashe is actually really powerful on 912 as a laning 80 carry. I don't think the Varus is particularly a lot better. And then jungle-wise, Damwon Gaming's jungler doesn't impact side lanes like the Jarvan did. So actually getting to the spot where your 1-3-1 is strong is way harder because the 1v1 laning phase for the Camille is harder than it is for the Akali versus Aatrox matchup that we saw Licorice playing. And in general, a lot of the tools on the side of Damwon Gaming can do a lot, but a lot less reliable than what Cloud9 had. So given that, the 1-3-1, getting to that stage where your champions actually can 1-3-1, it doesn't start from the start because Camille needs items. It doesn't necessarily have winning lanes to get it there, and it doesn't have a ganking jungler. So Damwon actually do take a pretty bold draft. And if you're Kingzone in this game, you actually feel pretty reliably your teamfight comp's going to get online. You have 2 winning lanes and then a mid lane that has priority till 6 and potentially can even just get item leads with teleport or play with the jungler. So given that Damwon don't have a lot of leads this game, I think they made it pretty tricky when it came to taking down the game. Someone in chat, Akarozaki, asking, does anyone beat Camille late in the 1v1? Jax is probably the closest to that. Jax does win the 1-3-1 there more often than not if it's just a pure 1v1. Fiora also wins the 1v1. Those two would be the two that win, but Fiora was banned here. So I think Camille's more reliable than Jax against the Aatrox, and yet in LCS and especially LEC, we see more Jax in the matchup. So other things to think about. Camille beats Renekton in the late game for sure, 1v1. Vlad also wins versus Camille. Yep. I mean, more often than not. If Camille gets super big, it can happen. But yeah, I think Vlad is kind of a champion we don't talk about that much. I don't think Renekton wins late game against Camille 1v1. I think for a lot of the laning phase, he does really hard. But I don't think he wins super late, no. But again, it's all about timing. So the thing about matchups is that we always have pro players, and like people will defer to pro players and matchups and be like, what do you think about this matchup? And if you find a sample size, whether it's like certain levels or if the game is ending really fast, the 1v1s swing a lot. Like a lot of 1v1, it's very easy to say Camille wins 1v1 against Renekton late game. If things slide into place and things are kind of a longer game and things happen to happen that way, I believe very confidently it does go that way. And yet it can, it can definitely change things depending on item timings or the game pace or the meta. But yeah, I'm pretty confident in the Camille Renekton as time goes on. I understand if you have a different opinion, happy to agree to disagree on that one. But for this matchup, Camille does very, very comfortably as the lane goes on. The big change to Aatrox was way better at team fighting. 1v1 phase got a lot weaker. Clear hair is an interesting one. So if we just zoom back to how this game started up. Karthus with no leash, apart from just a Q from Beryl. Power farms in, and it's game 3. It's getting late in the day. Kingzone don't put down any aggressive vision to spot the Karthus path thing, and Canyon just gets a free power farm. So you'll notice both junglers take a 3-camp clear on their first clear, but Gragas decides to go from just a full red side clear to guarantee Predator and boots, and very unlikely to be pressuring any lanes early. I actually would have preferred a cheesy gank from Cuz starting top side into looking for a level 2 gank somewhere, because this is the jungle pathing from a Predator jungler that has us super surprised when someone pulls off a level 3-minute gank as Gragas before he's shopped. Because the usual Gragas path is a bit of a hodgepodge of getting both your big buffs, clearing to level 3, and then backing, and then going for a full clear all the way down with boots. But if you go that path, you just don't show up in the lane before 4.5, 5 minutes. But at the end of the day, a lot of Korean junglers this season on Predator junglers have been going for like level 2 or 3-minute timer ganks where they did get level 3 through clearing 3 camps, but they didn't actually full clear the jungle, and they didn't back to buy their boots. So yes, they don't have a keystone, but since every team at this point knows how to lane against a Predator jungler, i.e. when the rough timings are, when you're at risk and when you're not, you subvert that by ganking before a reset could have happened. So I actually, even though that's become more of the meta, in a game 3 scenario where you just no doubt left the enemy team tilted by turning around what should have been 99 times out of 101 game by Damwon Gaming, I do like cheese gank, because if you ever pull it off, then the enemy's tilted. Even if you get Tom Kench's flash or cleanse, you change the lane state bot lanes quite a lot, and again, the mental lead that can take you is pretty big. But instead, Cuz just allows himself to be power farm slower than Canyon. And the only reason I can see this is because he's afraid of being invaded as blue with Camille rotating, and he's not going to be able to answer it. Roscoe allowing himself to be pushed in, so I think it's just a sign of how slow his jungle pathing's been from his jungler. Go faster now. Canyon gets Scuttle. Seems like Cuz is giving up on Scuttle here, and they're just allowing Silverlux to take bot side Scuttle to not allow for a double Scuttle. See how much trouble Nuggery's having trying to push in the lane. He's winning trades, but he's trying to trade his health bar for the potential to freeze the wave. And then we get this play, which is interesting. So, how this all comes. What you'll notice, health bar-wise, Rascal's full health while Canyon's taking the Scuttle. You notice that so far. Then, watch the health bar from Rascal and what he's trying to do. So, while Canyon's taking Scuttle, Rascal's tanking millions of minions in order to keep the wave in the spot that we see Keen always try to freeze the wave. If you ever freeze the wave as a top laner here, any enemy top laner knows that it's a disaster to ever get access to minion waves again, because you're super overextended and any standard gank path thing just catches you. So Rascal's tanking his health bar and then losing trade in order to get something resembling a freeze in this area, while Nuggery's trying to get a full reset and back. So this is going to do two things. If Canyon's topside taking the Scuttle, as Kingzone assume, it's going to provoke some sort of gank, whether it's through the lane for push or potential turret dive. But it also means that your jungler knows to counter gank in this area. Like, this is where you want to back, because for sure, Rascal giving up all of his health bar and chugging a potion here is doing so to try to find a freeze. And that's why, because cancels his back, catches Canyon, and we get a bit of a fiesta fight. This time we got the replay. So I didn't get to see this replay. Here's how this all happens. So you dive in, Kuz is in the right spot, you get the first kill. That's a good news story. So first blood comes in, Nuggery gets double buffs, and then you're like, alright, this is not going as well as possible, but watch what happens. Gragas has Body Slam. Now, important interaction to note is that Body Slam interrupts hook shot, because you get the overriding stun and you don't get stunned. Or you don't get the same damage trade that comes in. So, Gragas has Body Slam up, uses it on the minion wave, and that puts it on a 10-second cooldown. So that's at 4 minutes. And Nuggery, after seeing the Body Slam, goes for a super greedy dive. Now, Body Slam still on cooldown, His hookshot just comes up. Body Slam isn't available to start this play. It's available at the end. You get the mini stun, and this is just very much a Damwon Gaming and a Nuggery play, because it's always going to die in that scenario, and yet goes for the turret dive here. Now, it means he gets Sheen Longsword first back, which does help him with trying to dominate lane harder, but this is why Damwon Gaming is a team you should consider watching because they're just a fun team that does some pretty crazy stuff. Like, Nuggery's super greedy in that play. And if body slams up, I think more often than not, actually Cuz lives through the play that happened there. But the reward now is that Nuggery comes back, the wave is actually pushing towards him, and he has Sheen Longsword to a Kindle Gem. So in Nuggery's head, this trade was worth it because it allows him to once again re-establish dominance the moment he gets back to the lane. So it's very interesting to think about the game from his, because it's not that he's being dumb. He just sees different things that aren't necessarily outright wins, but when he does it and he's as aggressive as he is, he makes it into things that are very viable combat-wise. Now, in the bot side, similar freezes happen, but from a deft side. Varus Tom is a strong duo lane. It does a lot of good stuff, but without any backup, and with the jungler showing topside and dying later, Lux can just establish her range control, and we start to see the turret plates roll in that you always assume with a Lux lane. It's why I think Lux Sivir is underplayed in other regions, is that any Sivir lane that does a lot of things is really strong. Because Sivir's never picked for her first 20 minutes, right? She's picked for 3 items plus teamfight cleanup. If you tell me that a duo lane can be blind picked and will often win lane in terms of turret plates, and it has Sivir in it, that seems really powerful. But that's what Sivir Lux represents in the meta right now. And the crazy thing is if you step out of line and you don't have, say, a Tahm Kench or a Devourer and Cleanser on cooldown, actually Sivir Lux can one-shot you with, you know, just most of an Essence Reaver AD on the Sivir and Lux's full combo. So it has burst potential, it gets you turret plates, and it pushes really, really strong as Sivir Lux. How did this play start from Canyon? So Canyon walks in, even though there's a potential for defensive vision, and shows us the Karthus style that LS no doubt is not a fan of. Super aggressive player. I'm guessing he's doing this because Nuggery has a level 6 advantage and they're thinking about a turret dive, but he returns before blue buff could even have respawned and dies. Hey, here we go though. So Nayeon walks up first. Showmaker's a little bit late. This is a really nice play from Showmaker. So Showmaker uses first R, waits out the E. It's nothing special from the Akali, but it's clean, right? This is clean play from Showmaker to get an answering kill. Canyon pops ult. They answer with it there. Nothing special yet. We're just warming up when it comes to specifically the Akali play. Akali was second, but gets the kill there nicely. Camille backs off and gets a decent shove timing. Won't get a freeze from this. I'm going to watch the replay. This is Canyon, unfortunately, just goes down for a deep ward. And he's trying to do so many things. The reason why we can criticize Canyon is Canyon walks in being like, okay, my Camille has pressure. Maybe I can turret dive. And then goes for a face check on the brush. And then kind of a panic ward because he couldn't get as deep a ward as he wanted. And then just almost gets one shot by Cuz, right? Nayeon ends up with the kill. So I think Canyon's role in trying to get deep vision for his team there was a little bit too haphazard, trying to do everything. Showmaker does answer with a kill, so it doesn't mean it's a straight up win from Nayeon. But if we're thinking back about how this game is being played as the game goes on, trading of kills suits Kingzone. Even cold game suits Kingzone. Damwon have a tricky to execute 1-3-1 comp where the Camille needs a lot of items to truly pull ahead of the Aatrox. And teamfight wise, they have some teamfight tools, but you just can't. There's no way that Karthus can lift enough weight to allow for Nico, Sivir, Aatrox teamfight to be outscaled. Like, Kingzone have huge teamfight advantages, so even games suit them as the game goes on. It's worth noting also that Camille can be a good team fighter in Sona Taric comps, and specifically Taric comps in general, because Taric ult plus Camille ult is actually a really good frontline engage that is reliable because you have targeted nature to its long range, and you have the obvious time to use the Cosmic Radiance as you're in mid hook shot as Camille. But without Taric, Camille offers almost no backup team fighting here. she just tries to EQR and then dies to ricochets and pop blossoms and things like that. Don't show me this game, Papa. It hurts the Kingzone fan. But it's a game that I think Kingzone played super well in until a pop-off play happened from Showmaker that hasn't got enough attention. So I'm very excited to review this game as it goes on, because Kingzone continues to do good stuff in this game. Rascal wants to hold this wave as much. Nagari taking some very bold trades, but he takes them when his jungler isn't there, so you can't hate him for taking them here. It's a good read from Rascal, though. He predicts that jungler's top side, and Cuz is able to just get a free Drake bot side. With the pressure also, there's no way that Damwon Gaming can respond to this play. Nice play from Cuz. He gets a free Drake there. Mountain Drakes are really nice for them. Mountain Drake for a team that's very likely to win this game around Baron. Kingzone overextend for the pop-off play. See, on replay, I'm very confident that Kingzone make the correct overextension for the pop-off play, but we're talking about things in the future. You mentioned the ward top side. Let's check for a ward top side when Canyon was there. Yep, he was on a ward. Good catch. We missed the ward from the vision toggle before. So Kingzone get a bit of advantage from the lane ward. Rascal goes for the freeze. They get the call. They take the Drake. Well played from the side of Kingzone on that one. Thank you for the catch in chat. But Kingzone just want to make this game super predictable. The way you beat a team that has a solo laner that's willing to dive for a second kill to get a big item lead, for a team that has to split to win through Camille having enough items, is to just play with your... absolutely with all parts of your brain. Like, play slow and steady, rotate correctly around, take objectives where you can, look for bad back timings or over-aggressive back timings for Damwon Gaming and take objectives, as Kingzone are able to do here with the Rift Herald. So they have priority bot lane. At 10 minutes, they back and bring Lux and Sivir up for first access to the Rift Herald that was already prepped. After Rascal pushed away, like, this is beautiful timing. Like, things like this, where at 10 minutes 21, Aatrox gets first access to the wave as Lux and Sivir were able to push as well. Lux and Sivir back. Cuz puts down, clears wards, starts up the Rift Herald. Already, you've cleared out the control ward because Rascal walked over the Tri-Brush on the way to access the river. The minion wave is pushed in. You rotated first, so Lux and Sivir get there, and only an Abyssal Voyage play will start the catch-up. Chunk them out as you start the Rift Herald, all at the correct game timer. Like, this sort of game timer around 10 minutes is ultra clean for Kingzone, because they've got the priority when you want it. When you can get a 10-minute Rift Herald that gets you 2 more plates after you already took the easy 2 plates bot lane. The reason why that's significant, just to give you guys an idea of why not just make more plays around bot side, is it's been shown that it's very hard to force down a turret and further plates without first roaming your bot lane, your mid laner and your jungler to make it a 4-man gank bot side. You're not going to have a TP advantage because you need to TP usually around 7 to 6 minutes to get an item lead. And there's already a defensive ward set up for Damwon. So the chances of Lux and Sivir getting 2 plates in the lane in a vacuum, very high. The chance of Lux and Sivir getting the actual turret down to 1 or 0 turret plates without something like a Rift Herald thrown in anywhere in the next 4 minutes, almost impossible. The defensive setup around actually finishing off the turret is too easy for Damwon to defend, and they have Karthus to contest also with Skittles if he's playing bot side. So why not get a guaranteed 2 plates somewhere on the map from a Rift Herald back timer, and just something small like Lux and Sivir and Aatrox pushing up at the right time to be in position to get a guaranteed 10-minute Rift Herald is the sign of why I think Kingzone are a strong team. They don't go on to win this game, but those fundamentals I don't think enough teams around the world have shown me, but Kingzone's really on point with them there. They also get their ranges right, so Deft gets the 320 gold towards his next item. It was plays like this during the game where you're like, Kingzone's on. They're playing really smart. The 200 IQ players are looking good. They're rotating around Damwon, and Damwon still need items to start their win condition of split pushing. So the easy turret plates is taken. That's why we see a, small gold lead. Kingzone are reacting first, so they're pushing in waves where they want. No longer does the Aurelia good trades against the Aatrox matter. Through all of this, Aatrox was able to actually get the CS gap closed just because they were rotating first and Nuguri was on the backside. So Sarah Litz in chat, can you really call it fundamentals if so many teams around the world are lacking them? I absolutely think so, because the fundamental cleanest way to win League of Legends games is very rarely what we see teams do. And yet the fundamental way to win is the simple kind of evidence-based, this is how you get these objectives as bloodlessly as possible. And it's kind of always been a Korean team's playground, is through coaching and just the amount of repetitions, getting it down to a science, how you should play the game when there's not chaos in it. Now, fundamentals, I think, are much easier to target in 2019 because it's easier to create chaos in games. But I think it's still a fundamental. There's a way that you could like really narrowly define fundamental where you could make the arguments not, but I think the fact that a lot of people can't do those fundamentals doesn't necessarily mean it's not a fundamental. Kingzone push through bot as Cuz is backing up in the lane. So this, at worst, this kind of lane state that Kingzone have created, it's farm for farm, which we kind of outlined for the longest time is very suitable for this team. They're ahead, but not by much. Chain of Corruption went wide here. And you force enemies to be a bit hasty. Like, look at Nuclear. He sees the spell shield being used, and he just needs to hit one person, and he misses. And he misses by quite a lot. Like, that's a full character model that he's missed by. So the amount they lose this trade by is actually pretty shocking. For just an exhaust, they get double flash on the top side. And this is a bot difference where... An important thing to note is before this series started, Kingzone was 7-0 game score against Damwon Gaming, mostly because of the bot lane difference between Deft and Tucson and Nuclear and either Hoyt or Beryl. Like, the bot difference was too great for them to overcome, and it was too predictable for Kingzone to play around other lanes, naturally win through the bot lane, and then fall into place. And Damwon Gaming play more tricky to execute comps that require you to actually play 3-lane push. So through kind of like a lot of pretty normal reasons, Kingzone just have never been able to shape up here. And it's a really bot difference trade between the two where you get such a trade up. Like Tucson, to add insult upon injury, gets to swap out his exhaust for a cleanse. Meanwhile, double flashes down on Nuclear and Beryl. So at this state, if you ask me to put my money on this game, even though there's only 400 gold lead, with the scaling as it was and how smart Kingzone were playing after a Damwon loss in game 2, and the smart money is all over Kingzone. They chase out on the top side. They bring up their jungler with the minion wave as they're pushing it up. Notice how much slower Canyon is to get to the minion wave bot side. Neon starts to threaten top side, and things here are looking super clean, right? It's still looking pretty good, but we're ready to get to the inflection point in the game. So, 16 minutes in. Top turret is entirely dead. Neon is forcing Nuclear and Beryl to completely disengage off inner turret. Karthus is leaving the bot lane turret. It's going to be even slower to take that turret. And then the dive attempt comes in. Kuz walks in. Yes, he misses the cask. And if he had hit the cask, this would have been faster. But they get 2 kills to Kingzone. And consider the state we're in here. There is 5 members of Kingzone topside after they already got 2 kills, and they're ready to take down the 3rd member because Camille has a Trinity Force, but no Zonias, no GA, nothing. She has flash up. She's going to have to leave in this scenario. So it feels like it's just going to be a 1-by-1 dominoes rolling down moment for Damwon Gaming. Chat saying the Mist was trying to predict Beryl's flash. That's a good point. Let's watch to see if you can actually flash in this moment. So, really liking the dive that Kingzone set up here. Great dive timing because you know that first Camille can't react to this. The Karthus is actually seen on a ward doing the Drake. So they know Camille and Karthus can't be there. Aatrox is meeting Akali in the mid lane. And then I think actually what happens here is that Cuz might have forgotten that the Tahm Kench W roots in place, right? It grounds. Because with grounding, you can't flash there anyway. So it's possible he just makes a mistake and misreads it. Either that or he misses. So good call on predicting a flash. If Tahm Kench could flash, I think the cask is in a pretty decent spot. But Tahm Kench can't flash during this interaction anymore. So he goes down. Again, though, remember, it's a 5v3 that's being set up here. The teleport that came in tanked the minions, so they took minion aggro later. Nuguri, what is he to do, right? He has to leave after ulting. Gets out of Neon's ult, but then this play happens, and we see one of the best plays I've seen in recent memory. The context is, Karthus is already ulted, super far away. Nuguri's already ulted, didn't have to flash out, but alive. Showmaker's coming in with everything, so that's good to know. Kingzone, for their side, have no ults up. And then we see this play, where Showmaker chooses to go in, taxis from Aatrox into the backline to instantly kill Sivir, and then doesn't use his Shroud through any of that, backs away as Nuguri gets to come back in, remember, with no ultimate. And they chase from here, and what started off as a 1v5 continued as a 2v5 and take down either 4 members or 5. Like, you can really be particular about the Pop Blossom getting nothing, about the cask missing, but it's a legit 1v5 that halfway through becomes a 2v5 that Showmaker wins for his team. When they were in a huge negative trade. Remember, they don't even finish the Cloud Drake. They don't finish the Cloud Drake. They get the outer bot lane turret. They were both in vision. You couldn't have found a more perfect time to go for a turret dive. Like, this is correct turret dive timing. Because you know that Camille and Karthus can't be there quickly. The cask misses. That's definitely a sucky moment. For the side of Kingzone, Nuguri comes in, has to go out instantly. It's possible that... Actually, let me see the replay on this. Who has turret aggro? So Neon also partly might have altered there for turret aggro reasons because he wanted to get shielded. But Showmaker's all-in play, just the finesse that's required for this. But let's just try to really slow down Showmaker's play because I think that's, you know, the only thing that matters here. He flies in, starts the R flashes onto Deft and kills him melee range with auto and gunblade. Then from there gets knocked up, gets slowed, knocked up a second time, and is able to second R into backline to continue to do huge damage, force out Azonius, gets flash, third proc Q, but still has his Shroud up, all to set up the dominoes for Nuguri to finish off. Like, this is a fucking insane play by Showmaker, because to call it a 2v5 somehow undersells it. Legit, it starts as a 1v5, and only because he ult flashes to get the first kill and gets 2 people low while going in before he uses Shroud is the only way Nuguri can get back in. Like, this is like a ultra super duper insane play. And one of those rare times where I think Kingzone did everything right on the map read. They ran Damwon Gaming into a really bad spot on the map, on wards, and then Showmaker just outplayed them so much that it makes Kingzone's play look bad. Like, Kingzone should have gotten away with the cask missing and Neon having to use his ult to get a bit of a shield to not just take too much turret damage. I think like 99 times out of 100, literally, not 9 out of 10 times, 99 times out of 100, you get away with that play. And then the 1 time out of 100, Showmaker just ultra outplays 5 people alone as Akali, and Nuguri's there to clean it up. And the amazing thing is, he does it again. So the reset after that play, that was at 16 minutes, is that they see that Showmaker flash, and Kingzone just send 3 people bot lane to try to take down Showmaker. His E is on cooldown to start this play. From memory. Yes, his E's on cooldown. And then this happens. But he sidesteps all damage at the start. Eventually does get cast. Walks back out. Buys time. And he turns around a second gank on him that for sure was done to try to get some confidence back. You gank the Akali then mostly to show Akali who's boss after she just legit outplayed you. And while that one isn't worthy of the 0.1 times speed, that set of plays, pure outplays, right? Not in any way macro outplays. In fact, they were well beaten macro. Gets Damwon Gaming so much because now you wasted the time of all those people bot side. You can start to push in side lanes. Deft is defensively teleporting. Every part of the map play while turret plates were up till 16 minutes were set up where Kingzone was getting a little bit more and Damwon Gaming couldn't match. And it just meant that Kingzone's inevitability towards their teamfight comp being online was there for everyone to see. So I believe it was Voron in chat before that talked about an overextension changed this game. Like on a very simple level defining terms, you could argue that having 5 people in between inner and inhibitor turret is an overextension, but it was the right move from Kingzone at the right time, and execution beat them. And I think that's what this game is showing with new champions like Akali that have immense mobility, damage, and CC with just the way the meta's differently. This game was one of the few times I've seen, especially in Korea for a long time, where specifically skill expression was enough to be stronger than macro. It's very rare in Korea that you can outplay your enemies to the point where being at the wrong place, the wrong time on the map isn't the dominant way you lose. Like outplaying rather than out-rotating almost never happens in Korea. And we get the question so many times about we get the question a lot of the time about kind of can the difference between Faker and the next mid laner ever be recreated in 2019? And I'm very strongly of the opinion that the answer is no, because in general players are so much better now than they were in 2013, especially when the biggest delta between Faker and the second best mid laner was. And yet moments like this and then G2's chaos style, with the meta as it is, the champions that have been released by Riot, you can turn around seemingly unthinkable turnarounds with kits like Akali's, with super high mechanics and champions whose like ceiling in a team fight is like stunning 3 people and avoiding 4 abilities and resetting aggro with the Shroud. Like that's a thing. That's champions that just didn't exist years ago, that do exist now, and played at that level can actually beat the kind of macro always trumps micro scenario that always meant that Korea would always beat China in the end for, you know, the better part of 5 years, because while LPL players were on the whole more micro talented, you know, we didn't have players quite as blessed as Uzi and some of the other talent over in the LPL. The macro play, the sort of play that we saw from 10 minutes by Kingzone this game, was always going to beat out beautiful attempted outplay from an enemy like Akali was able to pull off. So very long-winded way of saying that, like, in my brain was broken by how much of an outplay that was by Showmaker, because if he doesn't do that, Inner turret goes down, Nagari maybe dies, they reset again with more gold, Siv's got 2 items done at 15, 16, 17 minutes, and then it's just so simple. It's a very simple to close comp from Kingzone, because they have winning team fights, their side lane loses, but only in one lane and only eventually. That there was so many different ways that Kingzone should have had this game set up, and while they hadn't lost at this moment, they're 3,000 gold behind, when it seemed like they were inevitably crawling to a 5,000 gold lead of their own. So really, really cool play from Showmaker in this game. And it lost a lot of map control here for Kingzone. Like, this is the first time that Damwon are baiting objectives and forcing Kingzone to come to them. And Akali on the flank, given the last couple of fights, is posing a lot of threat. So Damwon Gaming just get an instant Infernal claim. Noguri being the one to clean up the kills in the side lane also now has his split push duo of items, so he can solo push up and draw 2 people. As holy moly, we're going to have to take a break here. Lord Ozik just donated 100 tier 1 subs. I have never seen that before. 100 subs is a lot of subs. Thank you very, very much for donating 100 subs to the chat. Twitch is still confused at trying to dole them out. Thank you very, very much for that. I don't know if there's a message. I'm going to take a quick break from the stream to see if there's a message that you sent. So you subbed for tier 1 2 minutes ago, then donated 100 subs. If Lord Uzik could please add a reason for this bounty in the chat, would really appreciate some clarity to this. I could try searching for it. If someone could copy paste his message, and if I miss it, that would be appreciated too. Holy moly. I don't even know how to, I don't know what to say about that. I saw the ad for 100 subs being given, but I never expected that to happen on my channel. If there's any way, if this is a mistake and you need to refund it or something, I completely understand. But that's super, super generous. Thank you very much for the 100 subs donation. Congratulations to all the new subs, I guess. That's all I can say for that one. Let's get back to the review. Damn. Thank you very much. Very, very generous. Well, that definitely was a combo breaker when it comes to thinking about macro. But Papa's heart from everyone to Lord Uzik, please. But yeah, the map control here that Kingzone have been able to reestablish is something that I just felt so inevitably was going to go away from them. Like, you're still able to push waves in mid lane, but it's a very short lane. The second Drake going to Damwon Gaming was a profit on how much pressure Noguri has. Like, Noguri was so set up to have 2 split pushing items on a Camille at 32 minutes, but not any map control or against a Baron buff, and thus never be able to split push. Instead, now is split pushing so far has gotten them Infernal Drake control because the minion wave was so deeply sent into the bot side. And now Kingzone have to play Baron bait, otherwise Noguri's just going to take free inhibitor turret over time. So Kingzone have in some ways been put on a timer just because Showmaker's super play got Noguri gold that he had no business picking up under the turret. So Noguri takes over a red buff. All Kingzone can do, like, they're making the, this is very much the notebook or the practiced response, is Aatrox has no chance against 2-item Camille. Put down 4 control wards around the Baron, get 1 deep ward in, and start the Baron. That's the only play you can make here, otherwise you get split to death. So they deny the blast plant doing that. But Showmaker's on the flank, 4 levels up on Tucson. The deep teleport here onto the minions, actually super awesome. But Kingzone able to get away. This is actually, want to also, for anyone who's watched all of the stream today, consider how different this play is to what we were seeing specifically from Cloud9 with a pretty similar comp to Damwon's. We were saying they never found a way to threaten from behind or from the flank with their teleports. Smart to teleport onto a minion wave around the backside, and Deft is able to disengage, but you can see how Damwon is finding different ways to come from the sides, and that's important. As oh, there is actually the message. Thank you for copy pasting this message, guys. Lord Uzik, I have watched you casting for like I think 2 years straight now. I think yes, and now I watch you reviewing the game you love. I appreciate that, and since the last few days, I am feeling extra generous. I am gladly rewarding your continuous work. Big thanks, Papa. That means more than I have words to put forward. Um, I'm very lucky to have a lot of people who um, get in the DMs and send me tweets. Like I'm very blessed that all internet communities are on the whole really positive towards me, and that wasn't the way it started when I was new and I was overweight, and people found very creative ways to talk about that, and I still had to earn my keep as a caster. But compared to some of my peers and friends, my really good friends who still get quite a lot of negativity, I get a lot of positivity. So in some ways that makes you numb to it because you're spoiled with positivity. But what this means for my stream and specifically my community to pick up 100 subs is really big, because I like the fact that a lot of the windfall goes to my fans and my Twitch here. Like, you guys are all really important people in my life and in my career. The lines definitely blur between those two things when you stream and cast and have as much interaction as I do. So thank you personally, because obviously it's a nice financial thing, but I really appreciate what it means for the community. So thank you very much for the donated subs. It means a lot. And we've had some cool moments here. So the trend here, the deep teleport doesn't get them a team fight. And these are the moments that I really appreciate in Korean League of Legends, is moments like this, where the correct decision is made by Kingzone. Oh shit, we can't contest side lane Camille split push. Let's make it around Baron, stick all our control wards on Baron, and then if Kingzone Damwon make a mistake, we kill them where I stand. And they come in with a deep teleport to do that. But the deep teleport doesn't get anything because Kingzone kite upwards. But the action doesn't end there, because when Kingzone have kited upwards, you know that there's no way for them to contest the mid lane wave. So Damwon Gaming clears some vision, and they go to try to get a free outer mid lane turret, which makes their Baron defense and a potential Baron attack even more threatening. So I love plays like this where Kingzone find their only way to force out a teleport. They don't allow themselves to get teleport flanked, but Damwon Gaming find the best of this. They reset the wards around the Baron, and they get mid lane out of control. Now, they don't take mid lane out of turret, but they get some control on the map again. And then you're left saying, okay, cool story, nothing happened. Kingzone get a lot here because they get Nuguri's teleport. That means that if he split pushes again like he has been before, he will be held accountable by a Baron take. So Aatrox can push one minion wave, run to the Baron, and they have a true 5v4 rather than teleports subverting what 5v4s are. And meanwhile, Damwon Gaming do actually clear out the control wards around Baron. They force Kingzone to go for a full reset because there's only one control ward left in their inventory. They can't get the same sort of Baron control again, and they get an even state. Now, overall, if you fully investigate that, you would say, well, Damwon Gaming's teleport is more central to how they win because they're more about splitting rather than grouping and fighting around Baron. So overall, you like it a bit more from Kingzone, but yet both teams did POG things where you're like, big brain, bigger brain, galaxy brain. Okay, which brain was the best? Which is what I remember Korean League of Legends at its best of being. And yet, there are definitely many games where it's not like that. So I wanted to embrace this game because it had a lot of the really good League of Legends that haven't always been around in Korea this year. And it's between two teams that you don't plug in for that. This is not Griffin SKT, Genji, Afrika, KT. Like, this is Kingzone, who's still kind of recreating their identity, and Damwon Gaming, who are the new young guns who made some good macro moves, and the micro moves were awesome in this game. So big shout out to Kingzone and Damwon for making some good passages of play here. So going back to our original analysis, Damwon Gaming's win condition's still harder because they still can't pick up team fights. And Kingzone's team fighting looking more and more likely because the teleport advantage is down for Nuguri. So still, this is a game where, as Kingzone, you're 4,000 gold down, and yet it's like an acceptable 4,000 gold down rather than in any way a bad one. People enjoying the Papa's yikes in chat. Happy to have you guys enjoy that. Damwon Gaming ward their flanks. They kind of have to take Drakes, and Damwon Gaming actually get babied a bit after wasting their teleport because Infernal spawns. Now, Infernal can't be gone for, and Kingzone start the Baron to pull Damwon away from Infernal, and because in the bot lane, as you can see, Nogari's still walking up. So Damwon Gaming, if you notice, make a Baron play. Damwon Gaming are like, oh, we'll get Inner Turret and Infernal for free. Kingzone won't start the Baron. They won't dare. But Kingzone have a Baron speed comp, a Baron term comp, and only a Baron team fight comp, so they just start it. And something's got to give, and it's a mistake from Beryl. Like, it's one Mountain Drake Kingzone. They can't delete Baron instantly, right? It's going to take at least a little bit of time. And then contesting the control ward, one binding hits, death. Another reason that Lux is really powerful in this meta. And now Nogari's still not there. You got to kill. Getting the Baron is a lot harder because Damwon Gaming will have a lot of damage, but Kingzone here kind of caught between a couple ideas, and Nogari coming from the area he is actually really smart. He comes from the flank, but collapse happens. Kingzone get a first kill. I love this series, man. So let's just go over this as it starts. Let's try and talk about the seesaws here. We'll start with Tahm Kench dying. So, Kingzone go, okay, Infernal spawning, we're going to lose Infernal and Inner Turret, we have to start the Baron. So far, we're like, yep, Kingzone have made the right read. Damwon Gaming need to contest it. How fast should they contest it? Harder question to answer. Beryl goes in too fast and dies straight up. Just a mistake from Beryl, we can agree. He dies too early. 4v5 Kingzone on Baron. Now, they don't have a great team to tank Baron, but Rascal's there and has a huge health bar after getting Sterix, so you can tank it for a while. Nogari takes a flanking approach, which again, we never saw from Cloud9, but I really like to see. You notice Nogari's not running in with his allies. He's running in from the side, so there's one less place for someone like Sivir or the Lux or the Nico to kite back to. So we very much like a flanking approach from an assassin rather than what we saw previously. Canyon wants to keep the Baron leash to keep them taking damage. But then Rascal actually hits the chains, flashes in. They get the kill. He gets his... That's super well done by Rascal. Because let's talk about the play that he pulls off here. Rascal is able to initiate as Aatrox with no reset on his ult into 3 damage dealers. But he knows that with stasis and Sivir damage, he'll get the resets. You're like, okay... That's a sick play. It's 5v3 now, but the 5 are pretty low in health. Nogari first stasis is the first stun into, wait for this, Camille ulting the second sort of damage. Holy shit. Watch this shit. Watch Nogari in this. At first, Rascal God modes it because he gets the right stasis, and he immunes the Gragas into immuning the stun on the second half. Are you kidding me? He literally immuned the stun snare damage on the end of root, whatever it is, as Showmaker comes in. Holy moly. We so rarely see this level of super plays, but this time Nogari does it. And then you get to see Showmaker's good news from all the fighting he did before. Watch Showmaker. He goes in with E-Flash, misses it, Qs, and then... You want to see damage? Let's try and isolate exactly what did the damage to kill Deft. He's at 1,200 health, 1,000 health. Just R auto. Nothing else. It's just R auto, right? Watch this. Maybe one auto attack. I don't even know if Camille got precision protocol out here. There's no true damage coming through from the Camille. It's not the second Camille Q, right? But it's mostly R2. I think it's Camille 1 and R2 auto, right? I don't think it was Camille 2 with Triforce proc. Maybe I'm wrong. What do we reckon, chat? Do we reckon it was Q1 or Q2? Yeah, okay. So it's first Q Triforce proc and Akali at the same time. This damage is bonkers. 1,000 health, instantly dead in 0.4 seconds. Oh. Pleasure to watch Assassin play. In games like this, like, the thing about this play is like so much more rewarding to watch than something like Zoe one-shotting people, because we saw how hard Showmaker had to fight to earn those items. Like, people will look at that and be like, Akali lol, what is this damage? Like, he earned his 3 damage items. He's 505 now. Like, he had to work so hard to get those items with his sick outplay in top. People saying Q2 now. Okay, good to know it's Q2. That makes more sense for the burst. But like, this feels like honest assassin play because this Akali earned it herself. Akali earned all of this gold by 1v5 play in topside into outplaying a turret dive, never giving over his 700 gold spree. And then Noguri, he's a talented boy, that's for sure. So this is assassin play where I'm like, this wasn't just like the jungler did everything right and then Zed last hit 5 people and then did bonkers damage. Like, this Akali, like, absolutely, like, designed her Ferrari alone. She gets to put an extra red flame on the back of the Ferrari, you know what I mean? Like, she gets to have the souped up Ferrari with the sick rims. I'm not even going to question them. So, Damwon, turn on to Infernal. This is the Infernal that was abandoned earlier. And Kingzone just try to fight this 3v4. Showmaker just once again played this fight great. This one's less unique. So how did he get the first? He E's, I assume, onto Drake, hits Rascal, and then Showmaker waits, sees the spell shield, Gunblade's in air, Q. Nuguri and Showmaker are like superheroes in this game. Look at this as well. He comes in, stuns, gets hit by Q1, does Nuguri. I'm watching Nuguri on the right side now. Immunes. Oh, he doesn't end up immuning there, but still ends up R'ing to continue the fight along here. It's insanely ridiculous how heavy lifting Showmaker and Nuguri are this game, while Canyon's just Karthus and Nuclear is just hitting closest target. Like, it's outrageous. Like, this is... I agree with Symbiotic Genius in the chat. Time to tap out now, lads. Like, when you get out-skilled in a skill test 4 times in this one, without Akali even using... Did Akali even have ult? Yeah, they got deft before Akali even had ult. She didn't even get to ult in this fight, and they punked them. Like... I agree absolutely with Symbiotic Genius. This is the one you tap out. This is when you're like, all right, they're just better than us. We give up. And like, Damwon Gaming, we should be clear. We should reiterate as the VOD kind of draws to a close. Obviously, this is too many objectives in a row for Damwon to pick up. Like, Damwon Gaming are the talented team whose brain is what has held them back. Their macro without flame has often been laughable. If they're capable of series like this, where their macro on the whole is not fantastic, they're not Kingzone level, but they're solid, and their micro talent shines in a way that the macro shortcomings couldn't, then they're just awesome. Like, then they're just an awesome team that you're desperate to watch play more. I feel like this game especially was slept on because... this is what people want to watch. They want to be able to believe that being better is enough to win you games. And in the LCK, being better micro almost never meant you were going to win games from that. But in 2019, Damwon Gaming were able to do it through like 2 of the best performances you'll see, but mostly from Showmaker putting out like legit his career performance by far. Like, what a victory here by Damwon. And Kingzone at 14 minutes had done everything right. And the turret dive looked perfect. But for them to do this, for Damwon to do this in third game after tilting away and throwing game 2, when they're a team that has that reputation for falling short, that doesn't have the big brain macro, like, that was a really big victory here. And what it means for like the confidence level of Showmaker and Nuggery. Like, I wanted to hype up TOP versus Damwon Gaming, but it didn't really feel like it was going to earn it in Rift Rivals. But now TOP versus Damwon Gaming is that Showmaker versus Knight is like among the best possible of a 1v1 mid lane matchup, like, in the world. There's like not many matchups that should be higher level than that Showmaker versus Knight, who, if you guys aren't familiar with, was the Chinese player who dominated rank 1 Korean solo queue for a long time. And yes, I realize TOP is now TS, but good call out. I've got a TOP mug over here, so I follow TOP. Neither of those teams is particularly good on the map, but they have very talented players. So I'm really excited for, TES versus Top Esports versus Damwon. That should be super hype. And you leave games like this, like, just like I left Afrika's game and review last week being like, shit, I just want to watch Afrika again. Like, I know there's all these big name teams, but like, Afrika's young and showing things. I wonder what they could become. I feel like even more now with Damwon, just because of the level of performance we got from Showmaker this series. So next week, I guess from tomorrow onwards, I should check it actually. Who did Damwon play this week? I think they play Afrika. LCK. So Damwon don't play tomorrow. But on Thursday, it's Damwon versus Afrika. And you guys, if you've watched any Afrika games, knows that Afrika Freaks, like, they played pretty poorly last week, but they have a lot of smart, aggressive players. And Damwon Gaming are going to come in wanting to mechanics check people again. Like, I feel like Damwon are marginally smarter than Afrika, and Afrika are going to be feeling bad after their loss. But, like, don't you just want to see what Damwon versus Afrika looks like in terms of mechanics after team fights like that from Damwon? And with Afrika never, like, being defensive, super aggressive? It's not tomorrow, but the day after, Damwon Afrika is going to be epically spicy. So I know a lot of people have tuned into LCK games and felt really let down by the level of play. Griffin SKT game 1 was pretty poor. SKT fans are feeling bad about how their team is losing. And I get that. I empathize with that. I feel like on the whole, the average level of play in Korea isn't where it needs to be, and not even as fast or as in meta as it needs to be. Please watch the games that we can see are going to be hype. Like, please judge our league based on the games that should look promising. Like, we had the Thursday last week with 4 really strong games. What was it? Sandbox, Damwon, and Afrika Kingzone. I feel like this week you should be really hyped about Damwon versus Afrika. I think it can be a really cool series. So that's going to be my LCK review of the night. Damwon versus Afrika. That was a fun one. Thanks again for the insanely massive 100 sub donation that we got. I'm still a little bit in awe from Lord Uzik's 100 subs. Gonna take a short break, play some ads, and we got one more review left tonight, guys. We'll answer some questions after the break, but then we'll get into G2 versus Fnatic. I had at least 15 different people DM me asking for the review. I don't know what to expect from that series, but I'm looking forward to getting to an LEC review. And yeah, coming back soon. So thank you very much for watching. I'm gonna play some ads and be right back.